It has most definitely been a very long time since I was disengaged in an ARPG. To give you guys an idea, earlier today I had to go to the doctor's office for some routine checkups. Everything should be fine, at least as far as I'm aware, so no need to get worried over my health or anything like that. But while I was there in the waiting room, I actually dozed off for a couple of minutes because this weekend I've spent 30 hours playing this game and I didn't really get all that much sleep between playing the game and creating content for the game. It's just been a very busy time for me. But anyway, while I dozed off for a few minutes, I basically dreamed of Path of Exile 2 and what you guys are watching right here, which is my mercenary lobbing grenades at anything that moves and just having an absolute blast. And I already know what a lot of people are going to say, because in today's video we're going to be talking about difficulty and my thoughts on how hard the game is. Is it too hard? Is it not too hard? We're going to be getting into it a little bit here today. And some of you guys are going to say, Rurikhan, I see that you're using gas grenades. Those just got nerfed today. Just you wait. Your opinion on how hard the game's going to be is going to change. But the reality is the element that got nerfed of the gas grenades is not really anything that I was relying on for my build. A lot of people were relying on the explosion damage of gas grenades, but the reality is for my build, I was just using gas grenades to bust armor and do poison damage and spread and all of that stuff. So that doesn't really get affected by the nerf as far as I'm aware. I've just been having an absolute blast. Now, before we get into the difficulty discussion, though, I just wanted to briefly tell you guys my thoughts after having spent 30 hours with this absolute masterpiece, which I'm already like preloading the whole discussion. I've been having a blast. The game is a ton of fun. If you want to ask me, Rurikhan, do you recommend this game at the early access price, all of that stuff? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I don't think that there is a game that I would recommend more in early access than this one. Even though there are some hiccups here and there, probably some balancing issues still need to be addressed and all of that stuff, there's just so much content in the game. There's just so much stuff to do, and so much of it is so incredibly polished that it is one of the easiest recommendations of my life. The visuals of the game are fantastic. The animations of the game are even better, which is one of the things that I touched up on in my last video, but that was before I actually had a chance to play it. And it's like the responsiveness of everything, the overall visceral nature of the combat. It's definitely one of the best, if not, I think it might even be just straight up the best ARPG I've ever played. I absolutely love it. It feels fantastic to play. When it comes to boss fights, these are the best boss fights I've ever had in an ARPG. Now, this could also be the fact that ever since Diablo 2, the RPG genre hasn't just really been that appealing to me, but bro, these boss fights are something out of this world. You guys gotta experience this, okay? I am loving it. Now, the other thing is that the game is very challenging. And as you guys know, as somebody that has a background in playing Souls games and Monster Hunter games, I absolutely love challenging games. And the fact that this game is challenging from the get-go, like from the beginning of Act 1, you feel like, oh, I really need to like learn this in position, learn how to use my skills, learn how to do all of these things, is one of the most refreshing things that I have seen in an online game for ages. Thank God! But we'll get more on that a little bit further ahead. The other thing that I want to point out is the themes of this game. They are unapologetically gritty and dark. Now, there's a lot of games nowadays that are trying to do the whole thing where, well, we can't go too far. We can't go like, you know, there's a line that we're not willing to cross. Grinding Gear Games crosses that line, keeps moving forward, and as people are giving it the stink eye, they're gonna just turn around and give you the middle finger and be like, what? What? You got a problem? That's too bad, son. They are unapologetically gritty. Some of the stuff that you will see in this game is something that I would never have expected to see in 2024, which is just one of those things that makes me feel incredibly respected as a player and as an individual. Like, there are so many people like, oh yes, we're a dark fantasy game. And then it's like, now let's have a friggin' therapy session for our companions. Bro, I know I spent 99 hours playing that game. That was a terrible mistake. But, you know, I'm just saying, the art style of this game is phenomenal, and the themes that they are tackling are really well done because they actually respect the material that they are working on. I love it. And by the way, I would recommend you guys check out Talkative Tri's videos. We're going to be showing one of his videos in here, but I'm talking specifically about lore and stuff like that. If you guys want to know more about the lore of this game, you guys need to check out Talkative Tri. There's going to be like a link in the description of this video so that you guys can go check it out. Now, Another really cool thing, build crafting depth. This game might have the best build crafting depth ever, because like you have that big passive skill tree that Path of Exile is known for. But on top of it, experimenting with the skill gems and all of that stuff feels absolutely phenomenal. And then the other thing is what you're listening to in the background. The soundtrack of this game, and this is not even the best track, the one that you're listening to right now, this is just the music from the first city. But the soundtrack of this game, let me just tell you, 20 years from now, there's going to be a generation of gamers that is going to be listening to this soundtrack with the same nostalgia that I listened to the Diablo 2 soundtrack. It is that good. I am not exaggerating. Hell, it might even be better, but nostalgia is just like clouding me when it comes to Diablo 2. We all know the way that it goes. But the soundtrack really is that good. It really is that impressive, and I absolutely love it. But we got to talk about some other things. Let me change the camera here. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to bring up. So in terms of the difficulty discussion, obviously you guys know me. I like doing polls. I think polls is one of the best ways of seeing where the community is. Now, obviously this is based on my community, so it is going to be somewhat biased, but hey, it is the data that I can reach, okay? So on Twitter, we have 520 votes. 80% of people say that Path of Exile is not too hard. And by the way, an interesting thing happened in this poll. I had a lot of people reply saying that like, oh, I actually meant to type no, but for some reason I picked yes. I was like, okay, that's weird. But all right. So we have 80% of people on Twitter saying that no, it is not too hard. Then I made the same poll on YouTube, and on YouTube we have 4,000 votes, and it is even worse. It is at 89% of people do not think that Path of Exile 2 is too hard, whereas only 11% of people think that Path of Exile 2 is too hard. Now, before we even go any further into the difficulty discussion, I want you guys to see a little clip from my stream. Let me actually go ahead and mute the audio here, and we're going to go into this clip from my stream. Not this one, this one. So this is from the trial of the Secamus. This is something that a lot of people have been complaining about as well. This was the second time that I was doing the trial, but interestingly enough, I didn't even know. I was doing this trial just for funsies because I found like a random thing to put into the trial that lets you do the trial again. But apparently it was not the one where it lets you get more ascendancy points. So I didn't even get anything for what I did here. But, you know, I saw the thing for the trial, and I did the trial again, and here's what happened, okay? I want you to pay attention to the honor. For those of you that don't know how this works, this honor over here, if it gets to 0, that's it. The trial ends, have to do the trial all over again. You have to start the trial from the beginning. The trial is like a sequence of maps that you have to go through until you finally get to this boss, so it's a significant time investment that you have to do. So as you can see, I'm fighting Rattlecage the Earthbreaker. He's about to die, but so am I, because I only have 80 honor. And if he consumes the rest of this honor, that's it for me, okay? I'm a goner. So I want you guys to watch this clip, okay? Because I feel like this pretty much symbolizes more so than anything why I feel that the game needs to be this challenging, okay? And also, I want you to pay attention to the soundtrack, because the soundtrack of this fight is freaking gorgeous, dude. Look at me, I'm just locked in. Fuck these goddamn volcanoes, bro! Look out for this land. And by the way, in case you guys are wondering, Rurikhan, why are you just using basic shot? Because I wasn't prepared for this boss. See, this boss is resistant against fire. A lot of my damage is fire. This boss has a lot of armor. Even though I do have armor penetration, it takes a long time to penetrate through this boss's armor. So my basic shot is actually one of the best abilities because I put like execute and additional physical damage on it. So it can deal a decent chunk of single target damage, but it's not particularly powerful because my whole build is built around grenades. So yeah, I had the wrong grenades for this boss, which was a problem. Look at that music. Any of these things that touches me, that's honor that I lose. on. I'm at 46 honor. It's so close. There's like any hit will end this for me right now. And we did it here. Right there. Now look at my reaction. Woo! Yes! Oh my God! And basically, you don't get this feeling if you can just come in here and just mow the boss down. This doesn't happen. This release of tension that you get from killing this boss, it will simply not happen like this if things are easier. That is my take on the whole thing. And I understand that for some classes, it's going to be harder than other classes. They're still working on it. That is the nature of an early access game. So one of the things that I would definitely request of people is to consider that, like, we need to let this game breathe a little bit. Because one of the things that I was thinking about as well is that I feel that potentially a lot of the people that are complaining about the difficulty, they were expecting this to be a more solved game with the experience that they've had maybe of Path of Exile 1 or something like that. But it's not necessarily something that I wanted to claim because I'm not a PoE 1 veteran. I did play PoE 1 in the past, but I didn't play like to the level that most of the real PoE players have played it, right? I played a little bit of it. I played when it initially came out, and I've played it recently to kind of like get prepared to play Path of Exile 2. And, you know, my experience is probably not representative of a lot of other people's experiences, but it just feels like maybe people were expecting to just blast through the game. And that is exactly what I wasn't looking for. And that is exactly what the Path of Exile team said that they weren't doing for Path of Exile 2. So one of the videos that I watched was a video from Talkative Tri, who I already shouted out in this video. But in here, he puts it perfectly. And by the way, he's one of you guys. He's one of the PoE veterans. He's played the crap out of PoE. He's the dude that I watched for PoE lore, so he knows what he's talking about. And here's what he had to say on the topic.
Then we have Path of Exile 1 players.
Oh, sorry, I was watching this in fast forward. I'm sorry.
And I think they are embracing Path of Exile 2 for what
he's talking about new players here.
New game. Then we have Path of Exile 1 players who cannot accept that this is not PoE 1. I think this is a majority of the complaints across the forums right now, across Reddit. It's a lot of Path of Exile 1 players who bought into Path of Exile 2 being just Path of Exile 1 with a new skin on top. Somehow, despite all of the marketing that Grinding Gear Games has been doing these past few years. And it's not that at all. It is a slower paced game. It is more methodical, more engaging, especially in the campaign. And it seems as though many Path of Exile players who have been playing the game for a decade plus believe they should hop into Path of Exile 2 and be able to clear Path of Exile 2 as fast as they currently clear Path of Exile 1 after having played it for those 10 years, doing the campaign hundreds, if not thousands of times. That is 100% not going to happen, and people need to set their expectations right for Path of Exile 2, meaning they need to understand it is not Path of Exile 1 and it is a completely different product. Most definitely, some people have valid critiques. Let's talk about it.
So, a lot of the valid critiques go around the fact that we need to have more loot drops and stuff like that, which I can actually get behind some of it, because stuff like I feel like currency items and things of that nature don't drop as much as I would like to allow me to really experiment, but I don't know what the intention is there, so I'm also hesitant to say whether or not that is something that needs to be touched, because I also wasted a lot of my dropped items because I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, oh, I think this weapon will be fun. Let me go ahead and upgrade it and make it rare and do the thing. And a lot of the times it didn't even have like good 2 affixes on the base one. I was just like, oh, I think I might get lucky. That's definitely not the way that you want to be using those resources, I can tell you right now. So, you know, that is one of the things. But like, back to what Talkative Tri was talking about, I do feel that a lot of people have grown accustomed to the speed at which you clear Path of Exile 1, when Grinding Gear Games has definitely mentioned that this is a different game. This is a more slow burn. This is a more methodical game. And this is exactly what I personally wanted. Now, I'm also concerned because one of the things that I hate seeing is a community get alienated by their video game, which is something that I have seen time and time again. It is something that I've also experienced time and time again with several of the video games that I've liked. Hell, even Monster Hunter is doing a couple of things that I personally don't really agree with. It hasn't really alienated me yet, but there's definitely some changes being made for Monster Hunter Wilds that I'm like, oh man, really? I don't know about that. But that's the point that I'm trying to make. I wish that we could satisfy both bases, but I just really hope that PoE 1 players give the game a solid chance, as opposed to just being like, oh, I'm not clearing stuff as fast as I'm clearing in PoE 2, game sucks. And also, let Grinding Gear Games cook, because one of the things that I can promise you is that a lot of developers who are very quick to make changes based on community feedback, the ones that maybe don't fully consider the impact that some of those changes could have, will end up destroying their games. So I think we just need to let Grinding Gear Games cook for a little bit. I think we need to at least give the game a couple of weeks, because I mean the game's been out since Friday and we're already like, game's terrible, game's bad, I can't stand it, game's atrocious. And I just feel maybe it's a little bit early. Maybe we need to let people cook. There's also been, like, I've seen videos of people one-shotting monsters with some abilities. So there's definitely some abilities out there that are completely busted. So, you know, I think we got to give them the time to cook. It's an early access game. It's going to be in early access for 6 months to a year. And please let's not be too hasty. Also, on the subject of loot drops, I was browsing Reddit just to see what's going on. This is what the game used to be like on PoE 1. Is this really what you want? Because I look at this screen and I'm just like, bro, this ain't it. I much prefer the rate of drops that we have right now. I don't have to use a loot filter or anything like that. The game is perfectly playable the way that it is. And I know, okay, I want to get some white items to make some gold, or I want to get this specific white item so that I can upgrade it and turn it into a rare or something like that. Or I want to get this blue item to disenchant and blah, 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 blah. You guys get the idea, right? And this is just way too much, in my opinion. And by the way, once again, on the subject of loot, people are saying that GGG Ninja buff drops today. There was another one that had like 3 uniques. Another image that I saw on Reddit had like 3 uniques or something like that. So, guys, I just think we got to give it time. But for now, that is going to be it for this video. Let me know what you guys think about the game. I can't wait to jump back in. I'm going to be jumping into Act 3 on the next stream that I do. But I just wanted to get this video out there. I hope that people aren't too hasty judging the difficulty of the game. I personally don't think it's that hard. I've heard a lot of people say it's because I've been playing Mercenary, but I don't think it's a class thing. It's more of a build thing. I just happen to have landed on what appears to be a pretty solid build, if a little bit unwieldy, because grenades, as you can see, shoot past enemies oftentimes. But yeah, it's been a blast. I'm loving it. Let me know how you guys feel about the game in the comment section down below. And if you guys want to stay tuned, subscribe for more Path of Exile 2 videos, as well as Monster Hunter videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe. Peace out.